Vechain's VET token has fallen from 5.5 cent to 3.9. That is a drop of 28% in a very short period of time. In today's video, guys, we are going to be jumping into the technical analysis on Vechain's VET token, sharing my thoughts and opinions on where I think VET is heading. Let's roll the intro and get right down into it. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video update. Today we are going to be taking a look at Vechain's VET token. We are paired up with USDT on the 4-hour Binance chart just here. And as we can see and as we can reflect, we did see a bit of a growth in Vechain's price action ahead of the end of February. We saw our upper trend line here getting tested out on multiple occasions, with the occasional breach just above, but ultimately not getting any closures and no breakout confirmations. Instead, we did see Bitcoin rally up to $69,000 and immediately get rejected to the downside, causing Vechain to drop by 28%. Let's go into taking a look at what's going on just here for VET token. Now, we can see that we had all these wicks just in and around our trend line. If I actually go ahead and draw this on here, you can see here we tapping in, we get no closures above the trend line, and you can see here again we tapping into it, but we're just not really able to kind of close the deal, if you will. We can also see and we can note that this area of upper resistance, and I'm going to draw a little yellow box on here to help kind of highlight the range. Just here, this is an area basically 4.882 to 5.5 cent, where every time we've come up into it, we've kind of been quite heavily rejected. You can see here that these rejections, they come back in and we just kind of come all the way back down once we kind of get into this range a little bit. So we can see that there's ultimately a massive amount of resistance in this higher range. This range, of course, being that 5.5 to 4.882. So this is going to be where we're going to label it up as the supply is coming in. This is where the sellers are, right? And we can see that at the moment we found brief support down here on the 200 4-hour EMA as well. So that's actually looking okay. We've been able to kind of find support and also just retest this previous area. And I was talking about this, I think, in a previous video I did for Vechain as well. Just here, with previous area of resistance, now turning it into support after our breakout just over here. So it's looking very interesting, right? This basically being 3.8 to 3.95. Okay, just kind of falling short of that range right there. So it's looking likely to find support before maybe another kind of attempt at a run to the upside. However, we have to be very aware that we are now lower than the 50 EMA and the 50 SMA, as the red and yellow lines that you see kind of coming through the chart. During Vechain's run to the upside, this was acting as a good level of support for VET. And since we've lost it, this can now turn into resistance. Okay, so the prices for those, for reference, the 50 EMA, the red line, is at 4.764 cent on this 4-hour time frame. And the yellow line, the 50 SMA, is coming in at 4.859 cent. Okay, so rejection here is a concern. If we can close back above these, we might be able to get a bit more bullish on the market, but it will put us right back in between 4.882 and 5.5 cent, that upper area of resistance where we know there is a lot of selling pressure. And at the moment, although we consolidated down in the lower side of this, we haven't really seen any closures in that higher side. A closure up above the trend line, of course, will still be bullish, but we haven't kind of seen that play out just yet. So for Vechain's price action concern, yes, I think we definitely do have some there. Now, we want to kind of take into consideration whatever is going on just here and whatever was going on here, because it does look very interesting to my trained eye. Now, if you're not understanding Elliott wave theory, then this might be a little bit confusing, but this looks like a potential structural shift. And what that might mean is a trend reversal. So I just want to go down into the lower timeframes here just to review what's going on within this little section. Take it into the 15 minutes. here. It's looking okay at the moment. Let's take it down into a 5-minute time frame. And yeah, I don't think there's actually any concern in there, because what was going on right here is this crazy wick coming down. If I go ahead and throw this onto the 1-minute time frame, and we kind of try to figure out what's going on within that initial search. I'm going to have to go back all the way over here. We can still see that it's a wick within a 1-minute time frame that is basically causing that. And I mean, there's a little bit in there, I guess, that might be the little bit of concern just here with how that played out. I'm not going to go down any lower than the 1-minute time frame for the case of this video, though. But there could be a little bit of concern just in here between these two candles. So it's always a little bit of concern that we have there, but it's not clean. It's not like a really definitive move. So let's bring this back to our 4-hour time frame and take a look, right? So the reason that I wanted to do that was to check whether or not we had concerns over trend-based changes for Vechain's VET token. And I'm going to use the Fibonacci retracement tool here as well to help us. We can see that we did come down lower than the 1.236 fib scale, but not anywhere near that 1.618. So I will label this up as a corrective move rather than a trend-based move. That's positive because it means that we're still in that upward trend. Even from like an Elliott-Wave theory point of view, right? Elliott-Wave theory is tracking the behavior of people. So we'd want to avoid those kind of big structural changes, which are trend reversing. Instead, I think from an Elliott-Wave theory point of view, we'll have a little bit more to the downside, but it is an overlapping corrective pattern, meaning that it's not changing the trend and will rally back up again. So Vechain's looking interesting. Okay, so on that note, we still have the upper area of resistance, right? We haven't voided that or anything like that. That's still very much valid in there. You can see we've got 3 solid touch points here, over here as well. And then, of course, this one up in this little range. Before we got those 2 wicks trying to push us up higher, that was on the back of the new project that is launching from the Vechain team. There's a whole video dedicated to that, so you can check that out on the channel. But in terms of Vechain's VET token, we can see, of course, this kind of rejection from the sell the news event on that one, and for good reason, I think, as well. So what's really interesting here is we can see here more of a move potentially to the downside back into testing the previous area of resistance and turning it into support. I think that's the most probable scenario here for Vechain's VET token. Now, if we go ahead and take a look at our stochastic RSIs, here we can see we have plenty of room to grow on some of these timeframes, but I'm not sure we're going to see that until we have probably corrections on the hourly chart. So we're going to look for a bit more of a move to the downside on the smaller timeframes, and then the larger timeframes are still looking actually okay for a bit of a lift. So like I say, short-term corrective patterns with a potential longer-term move to the upside on Vechain's VET token. So actually it's not looking terrible here. Now, if we go ahead and take a look at the divergences, the yellow line being the relative strength index, we did have the bearish divergence that was on the most recent rejection here, and this move to the downside, basically copying kind of Bitcoin's sell the news or all-time high rejection. So that's not too bad. If I take this to a 1 hour, nothing flagging up. 8 hour, nothing there. 12 hours, okay. 16 hours should be. 20 should be. Daily is also looking okay. So I'm not too concerned about anything going on there either. It does look like we're in a short-term correction on the daily time frame, looking for support on the 50 EMA, 50 SMA, currently coming in at 3.932 on the red 50 EMA and 3.630 on the yellow 50 SMA. If we lose those, the 200 EMA is the next choice, or the next kind of key level for support to be found on the daily time frame at 2.916. I'm not expecting that to happen anytime soon, but I do expect us to be retracing down a lot of this move that we had to the upside. But probably not just yet. I think we've still got some time to see some more green in the market before we do have that retracement. And retracement, I'm looking at some pretty interesting areas for accumulation, specifically anywhere between 50 and 88.2% of this move to the downside, because I see this as a potential finishing structure here for Vechain's VET token in the trend reversal from the bear market. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the fifth wave overextending. So I'm looking here for corrections to kind of take us out down a little ways. And this correction, I think, is going to take us, at least in my opinion, down to that kind of 50% level, which will be more around this kind of 2.692. And if I go ahead and actually snap on some points of reference here, where I think support is likely to be found, it's between 2.5 and 2.8, but of course we still run the ability or the potential for a deeper correction. And of course we cannot ignore the glaring obvious one, which is a running flat correction as a possible scenario either, and everything that we've seen so far be in a bear market rally. I don't think that's the case, but it's a possibility that we need to acknowledge nonetheless. Hopefully this is the trend reversal, a good accumulation and reaccumulation after a fantastic run, so that we can then surge up into new all-time highs in the future. Guys, let me know what your thoughts are in all of this in the comments down below. Why don't you check out this video here where I'm discussing what is going on with BTC and some of the most recent developments with Bitcoin's price action.